So, welcome to the Community Matters Committee meeting for Wednesday, 21st of August, 7:30. Wendy's just checking outside and gonna shut the door, so we've got a little bit less road noise anyway. Okay, so housekeeping as usual first, fire safety and exiting the building. So we are not due any fire alarms this evening. So if we do hear any bells ringing, it will be a real deal. So we will make our way out of the doors behind you, and we, if needs to be, amass in the car park across the road. And just a quick note on recording the meetings. If anybody does need to record anything, we've got members of the public here today. So if you are recording, just let me know, and I can ask the members of the public if they're happy to be included. And that's about it for that one. Apologies for absence. So we've got a few. So unfortunately, sort of all due to being poorly, unfortunately. So that's Janet, that's Bob, that's also Martin. Have I missed anybody? That's it. So I'll propose that. If I could have a seconder and everybody all in favour. Thank you. Item number 3, declaration of councillors' interests and any requests for dispensation. Jenny, none of you? No, and none for me either. So excellent. All of the formalities done. So we are on to item number 4. So it's our verbal update, which we're, as usual, sharing with David to run through all of our bits and pieces. First of all, on the Lake Grounds Changing Places facility. So we have literally had a hot off the press update that was received by the council just earlier this afternoon. So unfortunately, when, I don't know if you kind of know the backdrop to this, but when it was actually installed, unfortunately, it was vandalized more or less as soon as it was up. So there was damage to the roof panels and to some areas above the door. That, in conjunction with some snags on the inside with the hoist and some other bits and pieces, has kind of delayed North Somerset being able to register it with Changing Places and actually get it on the map and functioning. So we are hopeful that we're going to see a handover of all of those snags and the damage of the repair of the damage as well in early September. We have asked North Somerset to actually get a sign on there, because I know we've got multiple people who are trying to use the facility and, you know, either expected to be open or want some more information about how they can register to use it as well. So hopefully all of that will be sort of encapsulated over the course of the next couple of weeks, really. And we're hopeful we can then see an opening of the facility probably in mid-September. So yeah, as I say, it's been in situ now for at least 2 months, maybe a bit more than that. So yeah, so, and then hopefully when it is being used, it's going to be used without the damage or without anything that has caused some of the delays anyway. Okay, so that's on the Changing Places. So update on the parking charges, and unfortunately at the moment it's a bit of a non-update, isn't it? We are aware that it is possibly being discussed from a North Somerset point of view in one of the full town council, one of the full council meetings later this year. We think that's possibly going to be October, but we've got no assurance of that at the moment. We are still pressing and still sort of submitting all of the feedback that we've had from everything that we've done to collate, and also from all of the petitions and everything that the residents have been making, just sort of, again, sort of impassionately sort of, you know, trying to get our point across in terms of the impact that it's going to have, both from our residents who are working around here and the enjoyment of the lake grounds as well. So as I say, it's something that is still on our agenda, something that we're still trying to push as much as we can. but as I said, we're unfortunately in the hands of waiting for anything, and waiting certainly for the updates that we can get in terms of timing of any decisions. Okay, 4.3 is, so we've for this month anyway, we've kind of listed the items which were collated during the PRAM meeting earlier this year. And we've got sort of what we're going to do is have a bit of a summary update on those items which weren't able to be answered at the evening. So we've got them listed here, and we've more or less got sort of certain sort of spin-off projects that we've got that are aligned to these as well. So the first two we could probably take as a sort of one update, and that's the future of Slade Road Field and the future plans of the old golf course. From a Slade Road Field perspective, we're still at the point where we're actually going through the transfer to Portishead Town Council. So there's no immediate need, I guess, at the moment to decide from a timing point of view what it is that we're able to do with that. So once we've got some more assurance in terms of what timing that looks like, then we will get all of the residents that have made a sort of acknowledgement to us anyway that they wanted to be part of that project, along with the different groups and interest groups that we've got in the town as well. And yeah, we'll just make sure that is we keep that on the agenda anyway, in that sense, to keep everybody up to speed with that. And then the future plans for the old golf course, we're assured that there's a consultation from North Somerset that should be due on what that space looks like, whether that's for the insurance of biodiversity or anything of that nature. But again, as soon as we're aware of what's going on with that, it's obviously got the protected town green status that we've got, but yeah, we just need to make sure that we as a town council and our residents are able to make sure that our thoughts and desires are part of that planning as well. The lack of the post office has obviously been something that is still warrants us looking at if anything changes, if there's any options available to us. We know from our budgetary review earlier this year that it's certainly not something that the town council can take on board and run itself, but things change. Commercially, there's various different sort of overnight carriers and things like that now are being used as hub centres. DPD have got one with the Royal Mail and things like that. So there might be opportunities, certainly with the commercial opportunities for somebody to be able to run something that might allow a post office counter to be there. So as part of one of the streams and one of the things that we're looking at is the economic funding that we might have available through North Somerset, and that will allow us potentially to kind of open up those avenues for people that may want to invest in the town and certainly fetch a business opportunity to fore as well. Next one on the community halls action. So I think from the last full town council meeting, we had an update from John as well, going through where we were with the halls and the renovation and the maintenance of the buildings, and obviously making sure from the most important point of view, they're up to spec with all of the most recent health and safety and fire safety and everything else. So we are in the process of tendering each of the updates that we need to collate all of the costs. Really, I guess over the course of the next, it's likely to take probably at least 3 to 4 months to get everything in to make sure that we've got all of it that we can assess to actually understand what it is that we can do from a budgetary perspective, along with all of the things that we want to continue to do from a community perspective next year as well. So yeah, that's a bit of a watch this space, and that's obviously for all of us really, just to understand what constraints that funding that we need for each of the community halls and the actions that we need to place on those, but balancing that up with our budget and balancing that up with, you know, what we want to actually maintain from a from you know, things like this, things like you know, what we're doing from a community perspective and grants and everything as well. From a carnival perspective, we're obviously aware that that has been set. You know, the carnival committee has been set up. We have reached out to the carnival committee just to let them know that you know, we're here. There's obviously a fundraising, and I think it's with, is it with GoFundMe or is it with, I can't remember, Will, which organisation it's with, but they are still seeking funding for running the carnival next year. So we want to make sure that that is also maintained, sort of, you know, some momentum through us. We'll obviously have to see again from a budgetary point of view if there's anything that we can do from a monetary point of view to assist with that next year. But that will be a decision that you know, that is something that we'll need to do next year. But I think from our prospects and what we can do at the moment, it's kind of keeping up that momentum, and it's making sure that, you know, our business communities and all of our residents are aware that sort of funding is most definitely sort of needed to get that off the ground. And then the last point that we've got on here is the lack of pharmacies. We have reached out to the pharmacist in West Hill with sort of just ideas at the moment in terms of how the council might be able to help certainly migrate people onto the digital sort of NHS app, and see if we can actually support through our tea and tech and some of the other outreach facilities that we've got, that kind of scheduling of prescription ordering, which will certainly reduce the inefficiencies, really, I guess, that the pharmacies are having to deal with multiple people sort of attending the pharmacies for multiple different sort of you know, prescriptions across the course of maybe even sort of a day or a week or something like that. So we are sort of trying to see if there's anything that we can do to support that kind of migration onto the digital platforms, to be able to consolidate deliveries maybe to you know, residential homes or care homes, or those where we can actually consolidate and support with volumes, and therefore hopefully sort of increase efficiencies in terms of what the pharmacies are doing, but also on the deliveries for that. So that's sort of one sort of thought that we've got in terms of how we as a council can support what's going on with the pharmacies. But I think from the meeting that we had sort of recently, we are seeing more pharmacies outside of the area offering services in the area, and we really obviously want to support our pharmacies that we have here, because you know, things like certainly online pharmacies have certainly and able to help certain people, but those that might have something that needs, you know, a bit of a conversation with the doctor, a change of a prescription or something like that, then that actually creates a cycle of having to contact a doctor, contact the pharmacy and change things. And having somebody who is there that you can have that face-to-face conversation with, we want to be able to support. So I think there's, as you said, that's one stream that we're discussing with certainly with the pharmacy up in West Hill. Once we've probably got more stability in terms of the pharmacists that we've got in the other locations, perhaps that might be something that we can you know, we can support across the town, really. But we're liaising also with both of the doctor's surgeries at Harbourside and PMG, and yeah, we shall see what impact that we're able to make, you know, just to, as I said, with what support that we can. Yeah, please. Yeah, we haven't got it listed, but we're just going to add on an update in terms of the marina safety. Yeah.
So the other issue that was raised at the residents' meeting was marina safety. We had a very emotive and moving talk by Steve Rees, the dad of the poor lad who drowned in the marina. So we're taking that up. We've written to North Somerset. We've been doing footfall counts down at the marina to try and get a sense of just how busy the narrow pathway is. During the Eat Festival, a couple of us were down there just monitoring footfall for an hour, and there were 1,500 people walking on that narrow pathway in the space of an hour. So it turns out to be quite a busy pathway with some quite large groups along there. And today we met with boat folk to talk about their views about marina safety and what could be done to make the area safer. So it's an issue that was raised from that meeting that we're pursuing actively.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emma.
No, thank you, David. Okay, so that brings us to point number 5, which is public participation. So this is over to you guys if there's anything at all which we need to bring up or anything. So fire away. Yeah. Come on, Laura.
My name is Laura Porter. I'm happy for my name to appear in the minutes, and if anyone wants to video me, that's fine. The questions that came to mind as you were giving your update, the first one was about Slade Road. I don't necessarily expect answers. These are just things that popped into my head. I watched that decision live when North Somerset Council decided or declared they were going to take it off the development.
The development, yeah.
And I think that in that same meeting, I believe it was Steve Bridger who set a 2-year deadline. And he said, if it was Steve Bridger, that they wanted to see some action within 2 years or they would stick it back on. Okay. So can we find out when the clock started ticking? Because you mentioned that there's been a sort of delay in sort of handing it all over, and whether that 2-year deadline and his expectations are going to start from the moment you get it, or whether the 2 years started at that meeting.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No,
my second question was about vandalism to the toilets, because I know that it might even have been at the Pram. It was one that I was watching virtually talk about getting rid of the toilets opposite Aldi, and somebody said that the footfall didn't justify it, and I got a bit upset because you're not able to count how many disabled people are using it because you don't put your 20p in.
Yeah.
And the justification was, it's getting vandalised, it's not bringing in enough cash, and we've just heard that the Changing Places facility is also getting vandalised. I'm aware from other meetings that we've just, as a town, spent money on CCTV, but I have no idea where these cameras are. Why is the CCTV not picking up these episodes of vandalism? Where are the cameras that have just been funded?
To be honest, I'm not.
I looked at the one on Esplanade Road, and it's screened, and it was largely to look at the skate park area and the front and the speeding along the road, and it's not pointing directly at
the toilet. Might it be reasonable to consider which CCTV cameras we're funding at this point before we lose facilities, or these wonderful new facilities that have just been installed potentially get targeted?
So there was CCTV of the vandalism in Wyndham Way, but undistinguishable in terms of it's also an issue really, I guess, in terms of how that is monitored.
Yeah.
Because down in Weston you've got a bank of however many screens, and if the operator at that point is not seeing what is happening at that time, do you know what I mean? So
actually, although we've got cameras, nothing's recorded,
and it's the incidents really, I guess, in terms of it needing to be recorded, but at the same time it's actually being able to get the police there when the incident is happening, or within time that you'd be able to actually find that. So it's
the other
really
challenge,
difficult.
of course, is you can't see what's being prevented. What hasn't happened as a result of the cameras being there. It's really frustrating that stuff the camera picks up doesn't allow them to chase down the people, but what you don't see is the other side.
My final question was, when you mentioned the looking into the community halls.
Yes.
And I'm going to tie this in with what you mentioned about the post office facility. I know that recently the town council chairman mooted closing the library should central government cease to fund emergency send provision, risking North Somerset going bankrupt. You know, if we're going to protect any bit, you know, surely like using that library, keep the library there, stick something in there to protect the mail facilities. And I just wondered whether I mean, maybe this is the wrong platform, but we're talking about community assets here. And I consider our library to be a real community asset, as are all of these buildings. And I wonder how much that popped into his head. Is it implicated in the Wyndham Way development? I know Somerset Hall is, and I've sort of given up on Somerset Hall because people kept on suggesting that I move my music provision into Somerset Hall, but I'd seen the drawings and I saw that red line going around Somerset Hall. So I'm not going near Somerset Hall because I'm expecting it to turn into flats, to be honest. And I'm worried now that the suggestion about the library is the same.
Yeah. To be honest, I personally am, I'm not that au fait with that detail.
I mean, I know that's more a North Somerset thing, but if as a town council we are at risk of losing some of our community halls, please keep excellent communication going about the library space and Somerset Hall, because if we lose those as well, where is our community going to go? That's all I want to say.
No. Thank you, Laura. It's really good points, because, as you said, it's not one of these points is individual. They all link into each other, don't they, in terms of the provision and I think we all need to be realistic about the pressure that North Somerset is under, and you know, everything that we've seen in the media in that sense. But we need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do from our perspective within the framework of what we can as a parish council as well. But yeah, I think everything needs to be on the table and we need to be considering what it is that we can do. Yeah, thank you. Can I offer anybody else? Yeah. Of course, Annette. Yeah, please. Yeah, no, that's fine. We had to do a bit of a shimmy, as I said, to move everybody forward. So yeah, feel free.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good evening, Councillor Blackmore and everybody else. Before I begin my public address, may I ask the town clerk, hello, could you please clarify something for me? The councillor who now chairs Portishead Town Council meetings, the 4 meetings, following the resignation of the excellent Ben Aldridge, has said that residents in public participation cannot mention anyone's name, including councillors. So am I right in thinking from that residents can never refer to councillors by name in praise or correction? And how, if that's the case, when incorrect information is given to the public by a councillor, which does happen, how will the clerk or councillors be able to determine who said what and ensure the correct information is in the public domain if the resident cannot refer to the councillor specifically? So I don't know whether you're able to tell me, because it will be relevant to what I say in the next part of what I want to say. So that was just an intro thing. I just wanted some clarification, because it does seem to be, we're told some things, and I don't want to, you know, obscure things too much, but it is important.
I think that the spirit of what the chairman was asking was, it's similar to the North Somerset rules that they have in their meetings, where they try to avoid singling out people specifically if there are complaints or criticisms. I think if you're talking about people in general with regard to a project or something along those lines, then to mention people's names isn't an issue. We do need to be aware of GDPR with regard to members of the public. We need to have their permission if we record names and put things in minutes and that kind of
Well,
thing.
actually, GDPR, the names, that doesn't come into it. You'd have to have 2 or 3 identifiers for
Yeah.
GDPR to be involved.
Yeah.
But the reason it's important is every time someone mentions a name, a shout comes from the chairman saying, no names, no names. And it makes people very confused as to what they can say. And what you can't have is a councillor who just wants praise and you don't want to hear concerns. And I think you need to distinguish between what's a concern and what's a criticism. And with regard to the Portishead residents meeting, the person who chaired that meeting, it's impossible to not mention him by name. So I just wanted to clarify that because I will be mentioning him by name with your permission. Can I or not? Can I use initials instead of the person's name? I use initials. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So first I've got some questions which perhaps the town clerk can answer in an email to me if it's easier and it doesn't take up your meeting or after I've spoken. So with regard to the town council's social media policy and behaviour policy, I'm struggling to find the process as to how a resident or even a councillor can raise concerns or a complaint about a councillor who breaches those policies. The monitoring officer at North Somerset Council has acknowledged that he can investigate code of conduct breaches and complaints. So on your social media policy, you say it's an extension of the code of conduct. So he would be able to investigate that. But your behaviour policy doesn't say it's an extension. It says it's an enhancement, which is very different. So I'd just like confirmation, please, that the social media policy and the behaviour policy are extensions of the code of conduct so that residents can go to the monitoring officer and raise complaints as necessary.
Annette, let me, if I just, we are literally in the throes of updating the behaviour policy, and that will be put to full town council in September.
I'd like an answer though before then because
Yeah, of course.
Before then.
Yeah,
Okay, so
that's absolutely fine. But
it's
yeah,
relevant. If you are updating the policy though, could you please update the section which says we have to ask for permission to record? We don't need to as members of the public. All right. I know it's, you know, you've got it in the policy, but it doesn't need to be in there. So a primary rule for public participation given by the person who leads this town council. Residents was told at the meeting held on the 13th of March 2024 that the requirement had been broadened out regarding agenda items and that people could speak on non-agenda items, not just for that meeting. However, since then, the councillor named RW has said people cannot talk on matters that are not on the agenda. So I'd like clarification, please, as to what is the rule, because it was changed. He wasn't at the meeting that it was changed. He didn't need to be, but it was changed. It was broadened out.
Wendy, can I answer that in terms of my
Okay.
my understanding, Annette, is that it's the chair of the meeting that determines that. So I don't know whether that is from the standing orders, but that's certainly my understanding. So we have the agenda as published, and members can speak upon those agenda items, but I believe it's still the chair that is able to welcome any other questions. I guess
we were led to believe it was a broad rule that had been changed to broaden out across all meetings.
Right. Okay.
I'm aware that chairs could in the past be flexible and open up the agenda items, But this is different. We were told specifically that the agenda item
Okay.
section had been broadened out. People could talk upon whatever matter they wanted, providing it was related to town council
Yeah,
business.
I-
So that's what I would like clarification on, because the councillor RW says no.
Okay.
Okay.
I think from a community, and I'll speak. From
I know, but you're
Community
much more,
Matters Chair.
flexible. anyway.
Yeah, I think I think it's important in this, certainly in this committee, that members are able to speak about anything that affects, you know, the community.
Yes, I totally
and
agree.
therefore putting a fixed agenda together, I think, will constrain us, because sometimes we need to talk about things that need to move quickly.
Yes,
And
yeah.
waiting until the next meeting probably.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry to
Stephen,
interrupt,
go
Emma,
for it.
and the agenda says for public participation to receive from members of the public any statements or questions relevant to Portishead to which an answer will be given, or if necessary, a written statement.
That's why I'm raising it, because I've
so for
seen
this
that.
meeting,
But we're not getting it at the full council meeting.
so that's an issue I'd have thought to raise at full council.
Well,
rather
it's
than here.
something that perhaps the clerk perhaps should take forward with the person who's now leading this council. If a resident or a councillor witnesses inappropriate behaviour from a town councillor that makes them or any individual feel unsafe, surely that action needs to be addressed immediately, not at a future meeting. So watching the video again at the full council meeting on the 19th of June 2024, resident Ken Smith, I hope I can mention your name because we've discussed it, looked very uncomfortable with the aggression and the shouting and intimidation towards him by one councillor, and the aggressive hands-on hip stance from the chairman and the vice chairman as they surrounded Ken Smith like a mob. Even a resident who was once a member of the council, this council, of your own political party, has highlighted publicly that at the last meeting, those actions breached the town council policy, code of conduct. At what point would a resident or fellow councillor step in to stop such behaviour from a councillor? I would like to think hopefully long before that resident collapses with stress or a heart attack. Now, while that councillor involved in that matter has refused to apologise, and the councillor who received a complaint from the public feels shouting and intimidation is acceptable in his response letter, residents of Portishead remain concerned that the same could happen to them. That makes council meetings an unsafe environment for anyone. Any councillor who responds to a resident with the words, "good riddance," should be held to account by his own council colleagues. It is totally unacceptable behaviour. That same councillor spoke in an email on behalf of the council in saying residents weren't welcome at meetings. When was that tabled and decided, please? And before I move to my last subject, I need to say the following quite seriously. I'm saying it here after numerous unsuccessful attempts to stop the behaviour being experienced by myself and others, because this meeting is called Community Matters, and because I am the person in the Portishead community being harassed and intimidated by a Portishead town councillor. I am also mentioning it here because the perpetrator refers to this town council and councillors, which makes it a breach of your social media policy. I am not, and never was, the admin or moderator for a Facebook group called the Portishead 2+2=5 party. Contained in this envelope, which I will hand to the town clerk in a moment, are the most recent messages to me, passed to me. Not all, as there are too many to print off, from the South Ward Town Councillor, who refuses to believe fact, which is I am not, and never have been, the admin or moderator for that group. It's quite a good Facebook page with plenty of evidence material, but I cannot claim credit for it. If your behaviour and policies and social media policies mean anything, please address this inappropriate conduct directed towards me from a representative of this town council, because someone less assertive or strong than me may one day be detrimentally and emotionally affected by such constant harassment with fateful consequences. And it is really bad. I want to make it clear. I want to just show you the evidence. Please let me just share with the other councillors. If you want more, there's plenty more, but I'm tired and fed up with it. And he needs to be held to account. So moving on very quickly now, Emma, to the residents' meeting. There are some corrections that need to be made, and they are important. We never had a chance at the meeting, and as you rightly said, that meeting took up so much time, it was hijacked completely, that nothing could be discussed that other people wanted to talk about. Many people walked out. So, firstly, to correct a comment by Roger Whitfield at the last Community Matters meeting, Paul Gardner was not introduced by Roger Whitfield. Sorry, I should say RW, but it makes it easier. To the public at the residents' meeting as a resident. He was introduced as an ex-town council chairman and colleague. So not just a resident, but his political party leader. No other resident was asked to speak. No other past chairmen were approached to speak, despite two being present. The word cloud that was presented with no actual evidence omitted the words from social media that had been directed at residents of this town by the council's controlling party, dehumanising language towards them. There was much talk about debate, not hate, but nothing was mentioned about the unsavoury behaviour shown to two councillors by their own party colleagues, who this town council has now lost. A lot of mention was made about not spreading false information, yet the following was mentioned and needs to be corrected. Reference was made about a mother of a town councillor receiving a poison pen postcard about her daughter, unquote. That was quote, that was. There is no evidence that that incident was connected to anyone who attends town council meetings or who hold councillors to account. The lady involved, and a good family friend of mine, said it was connected to a hairdressing competition. Those who attend council meetings should never have been accused, and there should have been no implication they were involved. This information was discovered back in 2021, so one has to question why it was even relevant 3 years later to council business or that residents' meeting. A comment was made about the partner of a town councillor and a comment that was made towards the councillor. A link is available publicly to what was actually said and the context which related to that councillor's heavy loss of votes following his partner's online abuse, which is evidenced. The comments relating to an incident between a councillor and a resident was not true, as Mr. Ken Smith has tried to explain but was not allowed to at that infamous meeting where he was intimidated and harassed. The story, incidentally, told by councillors has changed every time it is referred to by the councillors, and that cannot be correct. Comments were made about connections between the town council and the press. While litigation was threatened by the newspaper, the North Somerset Times, evidence demonstrated there was indeed a connection between a reporter employed by at that time by both the paper and the town council. No legal action could be taken or was taken because it was true. Then we have a photo incident where wording stated it was, and I quote, an unauthorised photo of a resident's 10-year-old grandson, close quote. That photo was put on the World Wide Web by a town councillor with no copyright and wide sharing capabilities, not unauthorised, not illegal. The photo, incidentally, was of a litter picking team, which just so happened to include a 10-year-old, but was not specific in any way to them. In fact, the councillor's wife was told that if the photo was removed from social media and the World Wide Web, it would similarly be moved from the Facebook page, but she declined. Their grandson's name was never given. It was irrelevant. Interestingly, the same councillor who is currently a moderator on a political page called Posset Cast, led by the same man sharing this town council, which is shared publicly, uses a profile picture of young children. And so it's slightly ironic. Fake surrogate accounts were mentioned. Yes, this is a problem, and one which the Portishead Independent Party members create frequently, but little can be done about them except block the people concerned. They are a menace. Residents are affected far more than town councils. And if I let you have the evidence of the town council who's created numerous Facebook profiles, I think you'd be quite shocked. He mentioned volunteers at the residents' meeting, RW. Being volunteers as councillors does not mean residents can be harassed, bullied, intimidated at their own residents' meeting. And that's what happened at that meeting by RW and PG. Councillors should not give out false information or unsubstantiated information, especially which were disproved back in 2021. One has to ask, why on earth did they hijack that meeting to raise things from 3 years ago that were disproved at the time? And it's a concern, and it shouldn't just be a concern for residents, it should be a concern for town councillors, because the residents' meeting is part of the town council's remit to actually provide that meeting. So to finalise, and thank you for your time, hopefully at the 2025 Portishead Residents Annual Meeting, this Portishead Independent Political Party controlled Town Council will commit to the mandate it widely broadcast before election and once elected in 2019, and allow the people of this town to choose a chairman of their choice, independent of any political party, so that the residents' meeting is never again manipulated to give out false information as it was at the time and turned into a party political broadcast. The videos of residents who walked out of that meeting and who spoke in dismay at the behaviour of the person chairing that residents' meeting do nothing but bring this town council into disrepute. Thank you for allowing me to correct what was said at that annual resident meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. I'm pretty hopeful that between now and the next meeting that we will have sufficient of our planned engagement meetings with all of our community in that sense, and from that and the feedback that we get from that, we're able to put together you know, that what it is that we need as you know, as a community in essence for that residents meeting, and just make sure that the focus is what it is that we need from it, and we need that feedback from the residents during that meeting to be able to do that. Yeah, of course.
But just to add to what you've just said, one of the things I raised at a previous meeting and then got a warning letter for saying it, so I'm going to say it again. So if you want to hand out another warning letter, then please do. The Public Participation Working Group has 2 members on it that I have just referred to in what I've just said. So it doesn't give the public much encouragement to find that those 2 people are on that. And they're 2 that you know who they are. So I think what you've got to do, if you're going to have a public engagement group, great. I don't actually think public participation can be changed, to be honest, but I know that you've got this remit to do it. But you need to have people on there, yeah, like yourself, like I know you're on there, but councillors which haven't got the history that some of the others have. And it's important because you can't have people defaming and slandering people on social media under their name or any created name they've got, in charge of such a group.
We were just mentioning before the actual meeting started, just in general, that now that we've got more councillors and yeah, sort of on board in that sense, we are looking at our committee structures and the members of each of the committees, just to be able to level out what it is that we're doing between us as well. So yeah.
Another thing I just forgot to mention, I still think that the 2 councillors involved in the intimidation of Ken Smith should apologise, because their behaviour was disgraceful at that meeting, and it cannot be defended. It's indefensible what they did.
Can I welcome anybody else? Kim? You on?
I don't normally speak at this meeting because you're the few people on this town council I have any time for, because you know at the next main meeting I'll be banned. That chap over there, the vice chairman, will move to ban me anyway. So I know I'm going to get banned before I start. So this is, other than the next 4 town council meeting when I speak again, after that I'll be banned. Because you don't believe in democracy. Public participation is the bedrock of this parish council, the parish councils all across the country. And the forecaller, I've said 1,000 times, is my House of Commons. And I believe I've got the right to stand up and say how I think the council are failing us, even mentioning their names. I'm sorry, but that's what the floor calls for. It's my House of Commons, and providing you don't swear or use bad language or any of that kind of stuff, then I think you should be able to say what's troubling you. Anybody in the town council who pays the precept of the rates. I want to take you back now to many years ago when you first started. Your party was on national television, Points West, and you stood up, one of your main people, and said how you're going to get the public on board and work as a team and try to get everybody rowing in the same direction. And since you've been in, you've done exactly the opposite. You know, I find that difficult. If you're going to go on television and say you're going to do it, do it. Not just public participation is all we've got. You know, you can all sit in your room, your parish councils, and all talk to yourself and exclude the public, because that's what you'll do. Anybody who opposes this Portishead Independent Party will be banned. If you say anything detrimental, like the leader of the council has got two names, why has he got two names? I don't know. Strange. Will get banned. Anybody who opposes you will get banned. So you never hear anybody who'll say anything detrimental about Portishead Independent Party.
I think
I'm not you.
Sorry,
You. This little group here are the only people I've got time for as Portishead independents. The word independent to me means freedom of mind, freedom of thought. Individuals who have their way, but you lot join the most pernicious political party that's ever been in Portishead. Why? You're independents. Why do you join a party like that? I can't understand that. I'm sorry. But it's your business, that. What you do politically is your business. But for an outsider, looking at the word independent, I find it difficult. I really do find it difficult to understand how independent you are. Because Mr. Gardner rules the roost. And a message from me, by the way, the beauty about Portishead Independent Party, when it comes to electioneering, they're brilliant. There's no two ways about it. You have Portishead sold up. Your electioneering method you have is great. But please, please keep this chairman as chairman when the election comes around, because you'll hemorrhage votes with him in charge. Now I've said all this, you can ban me. But I'll say it again at the main meeting, because I don't want to upset you people, because as far as I'm concerned, you do a good job, like Portishead. So, but the party you're in, I think you ought to have a rethink and look at them closely, what they're like.
I think, Ken, if I can just respond, I think we are all here to do the best jobs that we can.
I know that, but I'm not a keyboard warrior. I don't know nothing about computers, so I don't know who says what in the computer world. I know that I'm supposed to have done some horrible things to the toughest lady in Portishead. I'm supposed to have made her cry. Anybody who can make her cry, somebody with a stone heart, I find unbelievable. Anyway, I'm accused of all that. And apparently I was trolled online for about 12 months. But I don't care, because I don't see it. I don't look at this rubbish. I'll let all you people do your infighting on the rubbish if you want. But the people on your party, I mean, the way you got rid of Ben and the vice chairman, I mean, that's like the Labour Party, you know what I mean? Stabbing people in the back. I just don't understand you. I just don't understand it. Now to get on to a serious matter. I pay my precept every year, and every year your party's put up to the maximum. And what's draining our town council is these old halls we have, that we have to do all this. Why don't you give a hall to Laura and her gang? You know, just let's sell her one for £1 and let her run it. You know, simple. Then it's up for slop shit. You know, why don't you do something like that?
Honestly, Ken, everything is on.
Like it's not.
No,
it's not,
but on a serious note, I think we are in a position where we need to consider what it is that we're doing with everything.
I
So, but
agree. I
the-
agree with that.
but the thing is, I guess it's public participation and growing the community in terms of the community matters meeting and everything else, that all of these ideas, irrelevant of how crazy that they might sound, all of these ideas are actually things that we need to consider. There should be no stupid questions in that sense, because
Every time I get my raise, I don't think that's a stupid question when all the money's going to halls that are, 50% empty, not being used. I mean,
Yeah.
what is the usage? I don't know, because I never looked
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
But you people have, you must have done.
Yeah.
Right, I don't want to say no more.
all right. No. Yeah, of course, David.
If I can just respond very quickly, I've been town councillor for just over 12 months now, and I've been struck. Sorry.
No, that's all right, Ken. Sit.
Just to respond to a couple of things, I've been a town councillor for 12 months. I've got absolutely no political background. It seemed like a good voluntary thing to help a community that had supported me. And I've been struck by the similar motivation amongst all my colleagues, regardless of political background. That what they want is what's for the best of Portishead. We didn't stab Ben in the back. So
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, let's get back to the agenda, if we can, please. Sorry, Sue. Yeah, come on through.
Good evening. Just to say, I came here tonight to support Laura and her request for the money. And she does a fantastic job, is really good at it. And I think she's worth all the money. So please, can I ask that you do agree that she can have the money? Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have anybody else that?
Hi, my name's Lisa Stanley. I'm a resident and I'm happy for you to record me. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I do think it's really, really important because of democracy, because I'm a great believer in democracy, is that I attended the Pram meeting and it was shocking. It was really shocking. The majority of what was said could have been covered at Wrekin Works, at Main Town Council meeting, at planning, at all of those meetings. And the reason is that people aren't attending those because of meetings like the Pram meeting. And I know Ken, I know Annette, I used to be a town councillor here as well, which wasn't an easy ride when I was a town councillor either. But that behaviour at the Pram meeting did nothing, and this is why I'm raising it now, because obviously you are community-based. That meeting did anything but encourage the community to engage with the town council. And actually afterwards, I met somebody who was with one of the councillors there who told me I'd wasted my time in coming because I had to leave early, because I had a back injury, because I couldn't sit or stand for long. And because I just heard anything that I could have read on your reports or anything I could have attended at meetings for. I had to leave before it even got to the point of the items I was interested in hearing. So to be told I wasted my time is rude. Basically, it's my choice what I do with my time and my choice if I can't stay that long. But also, I'm just absolutely heartbroken over the democracy in this town, the engagement in this town. And I'm not seeing anything at the moment. And I used to attend meetings. I don't anymore. I attended this one tonight to help somebody, and I attended the Pram one in the hope that things had changed from what I'd heard. And it hadn't. And I really, really hope that you manage to engage. I've heard good things about this committee. I really, really hope you start to engage the community again, because I work within the community. I run Portishead Community Bridge, and I asked the town council for help. There were no buildings. Nobody would give me any advice. although we requested just for a conversation about planning. So since then, I've just disengaged from the town council because, quite frankly, what we did alone. We didn't have all the nastiness that comes along with town councils, which I am aware of. And I think if I'm somebody who was a town councillor who passionately believes in community, and I'm feeling like that, you know, how the heck are other people feeling in Portishead? It's just not even high enough up on their agenda. They're not going to want to turn up to meetings to be treated how they have been in the past. So I just wanted to say that I hadn't planned on speaking, so I really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
My name's Emily. I don't know much about this, but I was thinking just now about how we've come here to help Laura with her. If there was a provision that we didn't think we were, is this somewhere that I would say, I think we're missing out on this? Is this the right venue to do that? I need a lot of help with my daughter and her dyslexia. And the only places around here that do it are I mean, I'm a single mum on benefits, blah, blah, blah. I can't afford any of that. So if that could be put somewhere as something to think about, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
If we can take not right now while we're here, but we can take your details, then we can certainly be able to and put you in touch with whichever services that we're able to signpost towards, and we've got people that will be able to help you be able to support that as well. So no worries. Okay, is that everybody? Yeah, okay. We've got online. Sorry, just talking to Gary online. Is there anything, Gary, that you need to bring up?
No, nothing from me, thank you.
No, okay, thank you. Okay, we will quickly scoot through item number 6, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. And it's just to let you know that we have actually updated the minutes from the ones which were published with the agenda, and that was just to make an amendment to one of the supporters that you had here in your last meeting, and a donation that they've made to you as well. So yeah, so we've just updated those, so they will be what I sign, and they'll be published. Yeah, so so yeah, just to let us know there. So can I have I can propose that seconded and all in favour. So yeah, we're all done. Okay, agenda item number 7, grants. Okay, so we have one grant in this month's meeting, and this is for Now Hear This Music. So I shall read out the summary that we've got here. So the applicant wishes to be able to continue to provide highly specialist, sought after provision for the residents of Portishead on a pay what you choose and drop-in basis, and they can only be offered with the security of funded rent. In order to expand into a larger space, which obviously involves higher fees, the grant contribution would allow for a trial of this larger setup and invite a larger number of supported disabled Portishead residents and young families along. The grant application and supporting information is attached to the agenda. I'm sure you've all seen that. And the grants working group have met to review the application and recommend the approval of the funding of £5,000. So I think I'm pleased to propose this, seconded by whoever that you want here. And can we take a vote? A vote, all in favour. So, yeah. Well done, Laura. I think I mean, personally, I think we were all really moved by everybody that came and everything that was said. And yeah, just keep on, please. Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much, and thank you for giving each and every person who spoke at the last meeting that platform, speaking to some of them afterwards, some of the disabled participants are really keen to come and engage with the council again.
Great.
And I know we've mentioned this new platform that's
Yep.
coming up, and I'm really glad that our humble little music activity has potentially carved this pathway for this group of residents to have a bigger voice in our community
Yeah.
more generally.
The work that you do radiates, and you know, that as a tangent from what it is just demonstrates that it really does. So yeah, congratulations, and go carry on being you. You know, well done. Okay, so agenda item number 8, the Lake Grounds Pay Area Hip Hop. So we've got a report attached to this. So for those not in the know, the hip hop machine is the one that pivots on a pole. So unfortunately, it's not been pivoting for quite a while, to be quite frank. So we've had a report. Let me get to the right point. There we are. Oh, thank you. And I'm finally here. I'm not even going to try and pronounce its proper name. But anyway, the hip hop machine to those. So yeah, so the top section of the hip hop was removed several years ago, and now that we've got the lease of that particular play area, from a health and safety perspective, I think there's been a number of different options that have been reviewed. The option is the option really, I guess, that we've got is to decommission the ride or replace the ride. And unfortunately, the cost of that is coming in at £5,236, which is a big ouchie. And then underneath, we've obviously need those matter tiles, which is coming in at an additional cost of £2,740. So I think, unfortunately, as it stands at the moment, our recommendation is that we decommission. Sorry, Mike, go for it, please. You were in the corner of my eye then, I didn't see you.
Option C.
Option C as
Yes.
as a resident this evening. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, no, I would like you to perhaps consider an option C, which is to leave the pole as it is, because it's well embedded into the ground on the concrete plinth, and to erect on top a round circular, probably 3 feet diameter sign made out of steel, naturally rusting, nice piece of steel, with Portishead Play Park laser cut into it. And the company I've approached could do this for somewhere between £500 and £700. And so I would like to perhaps propose that I bring back a proper report and the costings of such a piece, which would then get welded on top of this pole, and take it from there.
We can certainly hold off. There's no immediate health and safety issue.
No, absolutely
none. It's been covered by the play inspections for the last 24 months or whatever anyway. So yes, Jenny.
Can I suggest yet another alternative? It's just
It's
just a pragmatic way forward. I think that because I did go. Well, Mike and myself and Sharon, we've been and looked at the play park 2 or 3 times, and actually that piece of a gyrospira thing, I really think it is not worth replacing it. That it's going to cost. The £5,000 is what. Basically, do we give it to Laura's group, or do we replace this other piece of equipment? Because the people that make the play equipment were quite clearly saying that nationally these pieces of equipment break frequently, so it just wouldn't be good use of our money. So can we just say that we will agree that we won't replace that piece of equipment as it is, but then perhaps come back to the table to see what Mike has suggested? But we do know money is incredibly tight, and actually,
Yeah.
Let's consider it in future.
I would
Okay.
appreciate you considering it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, okay, Mike. Okay, so I'll update the recommendation then, Wendy, that we review what options that we have. Definitely we still need to do that. Yep. Yeah, okay. So Jenny, you proposed that, I'll second it, and David? Yeah, okay, we're all in favour. We shall kick that can or gyroscope or whatever it's called down the road for the moment. Okay. Item number 9 is the St Peter's Road weed trial update. So this, in essence, again, just to fetch everybody up to speed, this is the trial that we're having to hand weed St Peter's Road and the roads that come off St Peter's, just to find out whether there's any scope and scalability in that option. In essence, rather than actually using the all of the chemical weed suppressants that we are currently using. So, shall I? Yeah, hand over to David here. Good for it.
Furest. So a number of residents were concerned about the use of glyphosate and its impact on insects and pollinators. And so in collaboration with North Somerset, we trialled a 2-year period of keeping that area weed free by manual weeding, and they agreed not to spray the area. Our experience over 2 years has been that it's very labour intensive. We were unable to get sufficient volunteers locally to cover the area. We reckon it would probably take a group of 12 volunteers working for 2 hours, 4 times a year to keep all of St Peter's Road weed free. So sadly, we're going to discontinue that experiment. But we remain open to other roads, perhaps smaller roads that aren't as prone to weeds, coming to us and helping them set up a group to look after their own road and keep glyphosate out. But it hasn't worked in that particular location.
So there's not necessarily an official recommendation. It's just to note that you know.
Yeah, we'll be producing a report, maybe ready for the next community matters on our findings and our next steps with it.
Yeah, that's it. Agenda item 10 is the cycle forum. And I guess pleased to report that there actually be the North Somerset Cycle Forum will actually be at the Folk Hall for its next meeting, which is on the 3rd of September, 6:30 till 8:30. So we really welcome any residents from Portishead in that sense. It's an open forum meeting. I will check whether they will need attendance pre-noted, but we'll put that out on the website, and we'll ask Amy to ensure that we've got some Facebook posts and website updates on that. But yeah, the focus specifically on Portishead for this meeting that they're holding here as well. So yeah, just again a bit of a keep your eyes peeled, and just the recommendation to note the date and the subject and the focus really, I guess, for the next forum. Agenda item number 11. So this is our rescheduled event, which was meant to be the outreach from when the Knife Angel was in Weston, when their team were not the Knife Angel itself, but when the team were coming up to host that. We have got a rescheduled date now, which is Saturday the 5th of October. Portishead Town Football Club are hosting that event for us. So we working with the North Somerset teams on violence reduction. We've got a number of the emergency services agencies going to be coming as well. We have I've been speaking to Ben today from WASP, so we've got BMX tricks, we've got sort of a half pipe, and we've got some music coming. So in essence, what we're doing is trying to bring as many people from the community to the event, to broach opportunities for intervention, and to hopefully just sort of get that message across to the individuals. On that day in question, we've actually got all of the age groups from Portishead Town Council, Portishead Town Football Club, sorry. Can you imagine that lot in a football team? All of those age groups in essence there as well. So we will see a really good footfall of all of the children and teenagers going through. But at the same time, we want to engage with the wider community, especially the sort of young teenage cohort as well. Sue?
Can I just ask if you have contacted the youth and community centre?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah. Donna's part of the sort of the committee that we've got setting it up. So we're going to be engaged. Yes. So we're all on it. So I think myself and Alan, as councillors, are sort of doing the councillor bit, but yeah, we're engaging with various different things and events, and there will be from the youth club itself, we'll have sort of face painting and some other things for younger children, but really what we're trying to do is get that message across and try and get as many sort of young teenagers across to that event, to, as I said, get those conversations going, and those opportunities for intervention really. So the recommendation is just to note the date and the venue, but kind of watch this space. You'll see a lot of sort of social media and other activities, posters and everything around the town. Item number 12 is the carbon reduction and climate emergency point. So we have agreed that this will be an agenda point going forward from our community matters. Sort of a point. I think, David, you were just going to speak on behalf of the actual report itself, to a degree anyway. So.
Well, just to make a comment on
Yep.
the reporting, really, I mean, it's really exciting that the town council's declared a climate emergency. It's a bit later than other councils, but it's great that we've caught up. I was just going to say, with this report that was with the agenda, for me, it feels a little bit too detailed. And as we're just getting started in this area, we've only had 2 meetings of the group. My sense is that an update report every quarter would probably be fine, and perhaps for it to focus on work for the next 3 months and report back on what happened in the last 3 months. So, just a quick, simple report.
Yeah.
If others agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No,
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And just along with the climate, can't remember the group that we are organising the actual climate day with. Sustain. Yeah.
I was called it CFD.
Thank you. Yeah. So that event is being hosted in Somerset Hall. So that's the Sustainability and Energy Expo Day on the 2nd of November. So yeah, we're as always looking for volunteers. But there's lots of activities and everything else that are proposed for that as well. Sue?
I'm also part of that group, and I will on that day. But you were saying that this plan of actions and everything is fairly new. It was actually started within the last council, so it's not new. It's actually been going on for 7 years.
I think what's formally different is that we've declared a climate emergency, which I understood that hadn't been formally declared, whilst there had been a person in that role. And I gather that means there's the potential for getting grant funding, until the town council's declared it,
you can't get access to the funds. So I think it was I don't want to call it a tick box exercise, but it opens up our opportunities really to have declared it in official terms. So yeah.
I hope that makes sense, Sue, does it? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay, item number 13 is our signpost and referral service officer update, which is attached. Just get to that point. I'm not sure. Obviously, numbers are slightly lower, but it's holiday season, isn't it? In that sense, so people might be away, people might be at home with the children and unable to come out and speak with Claire. So there's a number of reasons, really, I guess, where we're seeing lower lower numbers to a certain degree this month, but yeah, I'm not sure there was anything that necessarily that we needed to. No. Okay.
Yes,
It's 3 sessions, the flood, wasn't it? Yeah.
I also think it's still 63 people
Yep.
over that time period, and the largest group actually were people that were over 60.
Yeah. It still brings it forward, isn't it, really? Okay, so that fetches us to the last agenda item, which is the date of the next meeting, which is Wednesday, the 25th of September. Again, 7:30 as usual. I'm not sure whether we're downstairs or upstairs, but we'll check when we get our kind of visitor numbers, sort of attendees. But yeah, we'll see if we'll be one or the other. But yeah, okay. That's it from us all. Yeah, so I shall close the meeting. It is 8:46. Brilliant, thank you. And thank you everybody for coming.